Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience as we work through some of our technical challenges. This is our final budget hearing for the fiscal year 2027 budget. I'm so glad that you are here to make your voices heard and to maybe learn a little bit about where we are in the budget cycle right now. So thank you so much. And with that, I'll turn it over to Safahira, our Director of Communications and Engagement.
Good evening. My name is Safahira. If you know that folks are trying to tune into the budget hearing tonight via Facebook Live, please send them the WebEx link. If you are having issues with getting on, please send a note to our chat, and our IT team will be here to help you. And with that, I believe we'll be starting the presentation, the hearing tonight with a budget presentation.
Hi, my name is Todd Arterburn. I am the Vice Chair of the Spending Affordability Committee. I'm glad to be here this evening and to go through this very quickly, what our tasks were and what our conclusions were for this year. Spending Affordability is tasked with four things. One is the revenue projection for the coming fiscal year, so which would be the fiscal 27 revenue growth. That, for your record, is our estimate is 6.3%. The majority of that larger than normal increase, actually significantly larger than normal increase, has to do with highly volatile income tax revenues. The second task is to estimate the long-term growth rate for the next 6 years. And that is estimated by our group this year at 3.6% looking forward, which is kind of a more normal increase than the 6.3 that's projected for this year. The property assessment increases, which have been significantly growing over the last few years, have started to abate. So we see them declining back toward the historical average of roughly 3%, personal income growth about 4%. The third task is to make a recommendation as to long-term bond obligation or general obligation, GO bond obligations. Our recommendation this year is to limit it to $75 million. We'll talk about that in just a little bit more detail momentarily. And then finally is just our fourth task, which is to raise any other issues that we believe need to be looked at and addressed and considered for the county moving forward. So if you can just flip the slide. So one thing to keep in mind, the county's revenues are over 90% generated by two sources. One is property taxes and one is income taxes, roughly evenly between those two. As I said, income taxes are very volatile. Property taxes are more stable. Our recommendation this year, we are seeing a roughly 6.3% increase looking forward for fiscal 27. That doesn't mean we need to spend it all, though, and we would actually strongly recommend that we not and keep our expenditure growth in line with the long-term trends. That trend is about 3.6%. We are suggesting a 4% growth in expenditures for this year, saving the other 2.3% to replenish our erosion in reserves that we've experienced in the last couple of years. This will go directly to making sure that we protect our AAA bond rating looking forward. With respect to those long-term obligations of $75 million recommendation limit for the year, our recommendation also is to focus those long-term issuances on deferred maintenance issues. So the school system right now is reporting roughly $190 million in deferred maintenance. The county has about $140 million in identified deferred maintenance. With deferred maintenance is specifically long-term capital-based repairs. So for instance, with buildings, it might be roofs, it might be an HVAC system, it might be windows, it might be an elevator. That's true for the school system. It's true for the county buildings. For other things in the county would be roads, bridges, stormwater management systems, and so forth. So we have roughly $330 or $340 million in long-term deferred maintenance. Our recommendation is that the vast majority of that 75 million go to specifically dealing with those long-term deferred maintenance items. And the reason is twofold. One is to knock that off the list, obviously, which are big items that are accumulating. And the second is that when you spend money for, say, a community center or a library, you're also assuming responsibility for staffing and operating that facility going forward. And so that's another layer of expense associated with not just the brick and mortar repairs or the brick and mortar construction. So if the focus remains on taking care of deferred maintenance, there's a dual benefit in that process. One of the last other things that the committee focused on was promoting economic development issues. We want to grow the pie, so to speak, increase the size of the budget, increase the size of the local economy, incorporate many of the ideas in the Econ Task Force, implement HOCO by design, which was passed 2 years ago, which is the county's new master plan. And that plan envisions the delivery of more, less expensive housing options. So we want to make sure that the county does pursue implementation of HOCO by design. And then, of course, work with EDA, Economic Development Authority, on their efforts to continue to grow the local economy. Most importantly, finally, stick to prudent fiscal policies and sound financial management. That has enabled the county to achieve and now maintain that AAA bond rating from all three rating agencies for generations now. And that's of paramount importance to the county and county taxpayers. Without that, our financial situation starts to degrade. Our Department of Finance is the beneficiary right now of that AAA rating, and it helps them in every way in managing their relationships with the capital markets. And so the committee is very strongly recommending that pursuit of continued prudent fiscal policies and financial management for the benefit of all the taxpayers of the county. So that's a very quick summary. If you'd like to see the last 2 years worth of reports, they are available online. The fiscal 27 report was just put up, I believe, yesterday. So it's fresh, and last year's was quite a task as well. And I would recommend that, if nothing else, take a look at the executive summaries in those 2 years, and it'll give you a nice overview of where the county's finances are. So thank you, Dr. Ball, for including me in that committee the last 8 years. It's been a great pleasure being involved. So thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Holly Sun from Budget Administrator for the county. I want to take the opportunity just to thank Todd and also others working for the Spending Flow Advisory Committee that continue to offer very insightful advice for the county government when we are in the process of forming next year's budget. As Todd just mentioned, that next year's fiscal look is unexpectedly strong. Historically, or I will look at that, the actual general fund revenue growth in the last few years, it averaged about $62 to $64 million growth every year on average. The projection for 27 is much stronger than that, but as he just mentioned, that a large extent is driven by pretty volatile temporary factors. For example, according to the State Controller's Office, last year capital gains statewide has been extremely strong. And so far this year seems to be also good, maybe until a few days ago. So anyway, with a very strong revenue projection at this point, we are still looking at a very sizable fiscal gap predicted for 27 because the needs are so high. For the school-related cost, for example, the new funding needs are about $84 million. It's based on the Board of Ed just approved request, plus also the needs to replenish $14.5 million one-time funding last year. And also the state has indicated that a potential of shifting about $6 million of education costs to the local government for the education pension liability, pre-K, private, local match, etc. And obviously there are other funding needs here to support community college and library, debt service for financing public infrastructure, state mandates, county agency, and nonprofits needs there. Next slide, please. So in recent years, the county government has been making an effort to increase local funding to education entities significantly. The green bar represents per pupil county investment there. So in FY26, per pupil local spending is more than $14,600, which grew by 8% from prior year. Despite the fact that the enrollment growth has been declining since the onset of the pandemic, the county has been making efforts to accelerate rather than slow down investment in our school system there. In 26, direct county funding to our school system increased by 53.5 million, which is the highest growth over the last 2 decades. And besides that, the county's own budget also pick up other costs that are directly related to the school employees and services, that's including making payment to teachers' pensions, retiree health benefit, and also financing for the school infrastructure. Next slide, please. Now, the local funding has been increasing dramatically in attempt to support our school system for all those needs there. Unfortunately, the state funding remains relatively limited on that side there. So state aid to our school system is actually among the lowest in big counties here. If you look at the bar in FY26, state aid to our school operating funding represent only about 31% of the share, while other big counties listed here are 48, 58, or even 72%. In other words, the majority of our own school systems cost there and disproportionately higher share is shouldered by local funding or the taxpayers' money here, which does limit the capacity when the state is not participating as high as their share for other jurisdictions there. Next slide, please.
Yeah, hi, good evening all. My name is Rafiui Hila, Director of Finance for the county. So today I will be walking you all through the funding for our community college. The county over the years has increased its funding to meet the growing needs of the community college. The funding level increased by 31% since County Executive Board took office. The direct funding increased by $1.3 million in FY26 this current year, bringing the total recurring investment to approximately $46 million. With these historic funding levels, the county has been able to increase our partnership with HCC Workforce Training Department and the county's Workforce Development Office, which in turn increase the county's economic development efforts and increase our labor force pool, invariably increasing our tax base as well. Next slide. As for the county's library, the Howard County Library System has not been left out of this increased funding levels. Since the county executive took office, the funding has increased by 30%, direct funding from the county. In FY26, the direct funding from the county went up by $800,000. The increase also brings the total recurring investment to over $27 million. This funding increase increased the effort of the library system to support the county's educational needs, which supplements the work of our public school systems. So the funding for both the library and the community college does help the county grow its labor force and educate our students. Thank you. Next slide.
Thank you, Rafu. So this is a multi-year history of the county allocation of funding for major sectors here. Our key priority, as represented by the navy color bar, are for education, which remains the higher spending priority. it definitely dwarfed all other sectors in terms of spending level. And also, if you look at the slope, it has been more steeper in recent years, meaning that the funding has been accelerated in terms of growth on that there. Now, in this county, our residents ask for rightfully everything. So people want to have quality education, but also very safe community, clean environment, faster snow removal, and very complex and needed health and community services, et cetera, on that there. So we're doing everything, try to support all those services there, and obviously have to pay debt service payments for our infrastructure as well as state mandates on that there. Now, as you all know, that those services are all provided by hardworking public employees there. So most of the cost is really personnel, and even contractual costs also increase. So in general, just to maintain the same level of service across the board is going to be more costly year after year. Next slide, please. Now, some of the driving of the service needs also reflect some fundamental gradual shift of the demographic trends. The upper box, the orange color one, represents 65 plus age group of the county. As you can see, in our county, the population has been aging very rapidly. Those above 65 plus in 4 years is going to be exceeding 20% of the county's population. What does it mean is that it will actually require more and more services really tailored to support the folks that aging in our community. It also means that, as you know, that retirees typically have less income than when they were in the workforce. So that's going to have some implication on long-term income tax growth momentum there. The second thing is in the middle of those blocks there, the blue and the green box there, that's largely representing the working populations there, workforce there. That group actually has been sluggish and actually showing a trend of a gradual decline, slightly decline, which is also a concern. And so we are working hard, and economic task force and other ones has been working hard, try to attract and retain residents and business there, because that's the only way try to grow local economy and attract investment there. And also this is the group that mostly heavily impacted by what's happening at the federal government. Next slide, please. So no surprise, as most other counties in this region, our county is disproportionately exposed to federal impact and risk continuously. So as of 2024, more than 11% of county residents working were federal employees, and also federal government has spent about $4.3 billion procurement in the county. So what we learned from the state is through November 2025, 15.3% of Marylanders employed by federal government already lost their job, and that trend may not stop there. So everything combined, it's estimated that the impact of our county, if we match the state average, is going to be transferred to about 2.5 to 3.5% employment lost to the county. Usually have a delayed impact on local revenues because historically recession takes or impact usually takes a couple of years to get reflected on tax base on that. So that is continuous concern and continuous risks on that on the revenue side, but also we have to work continuously to address the issue and help our both business and residents impacted there. And there are some additional implications on credit rating that our FA's financial advisor is going to talk in a minute. But before I hand it over, I just want to take opportunity to thank everyone and say that despite all the challenges there, yeah, this is really a great community, a very engaged community there, and feature very collaborative culture. So we really look forward to collect everybody's input that help us make the right decisions in terms of providing continued support and balancing all those different critical needs of the community. Thank you. Next slide, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jennifer Derrickson. I'm a Senior Vice President with Davenport & Company, the county's financial advisor. I'm here tonight to give an overview of the county's credit ratings. Positively, the county holds AAA ratings, the highest credit ratings possible from all three national rating agencies, Fitch, Moody's, and S&P. The distinguished AAA status has only been obtained by approximately 1.7% of counties across the nation, including 9 other counties in Maryland. The assignment of the AAA rating is a globally acknowledged independent assessment that looks at the county's financial health, its debt profile, economic strength, and management practices. The AAA rating signals that the county is performing at the highest level compared to other counties across the nation. The county has held its AAA rating for the last 29 years, with the most recent affirmation happening in February of this year. The county's AAA ratings bring many benefits, including the ability to attract investment in the county. It also provides the highest market access when the county needs to issue debt, as well as the lowest borrowing costs due to the ability to obtain lower interest rates for the county's debt that funds various infrastructure projects across the county. However, there have been some recent downgrades by Moody's from AAA, including the state of Maryland and Prince George's County in May of last year, due to the weakening of their financial fundamentals, as well as the potential implications from the federal workforce reductions. And once a government is downgraded from AAA, it is extremely difficult to regain that AAA, if at all, and could take years. Any downgrade could have a financial impact on future debt borrowings for the county. Just as an example, for a $100 million issuance, if the county were to be downgraded, that would be an estimated additional 1.3 to 3.3 million in additional debt service costs on that debt over the life of the bond for the county. If we go to the following slide. This slide just provides some excerpts from the most recent rating reports from all three rating agencies. You can see here that they touch upon the strength of the county's economy, its demographics, financial management practices, and budgetary flexibility. However, the reports also note that to maintain the AAA ratings going forward, the county will need to manage its reserve and long-term liability levels to ensure that they are consistent with other AAA county governments. Reserves are the most important credit metric that a rating analyst looks at when assigning a credit rating, and currently the county's reserve levels are below state and national AAA peers. The county's reserve levels, as calculated by Moody's, is about 28% compared to the state and national median of about 47%. So moving closer to that AAA median will be important in the county's rating going forward, as mentioned earlier. Positively, the rating reports also noted a decline in the county's long-term liabilities, which include the county's debt, its pension obligations, as well as its other post-employment benefits over the last few years. But the county will still need to manage these debt issuances going forward, as right now the county is above the state medians for debt metrics. In addition, while funding for OPEB has increased, it still lags behind the AAA peer median within the state as well. So while the county's overall credit profile remains strong, just making sure that reserves and long-term liabilities are in line with other AAA county governments will be important in maintaining the AAA ratings and the associated benefits of those AAA ratings going forward. So thank you. And then next slide, please.
Well, thank you so much to our panelists for really helping the public address a lot of issues and concerns and questions, frankly, that a lot of people have been asking as we go into this budgetary process. And I want to thank again all of our residents who are signed up to testify. We're looking forward to hearing from you. This is our very last budget hearing for the FY 2027 development. and it's my last budget hearing as your county executive. And so it's been quite an honor, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts, concerns, hopes, and dreams as we develop this community budget together. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Safa here.
Good evening. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed. If you are unable to testify due to technical issues, we are also taking written testimony to ensure every voice is considered during the budget process. All testimony, written and oral, will be considered by our team. Please send any written testimony to budgettestimony@howardcountymd.gov. Again, the email is budgettestimony@howardcountymd.gov. Each person will have up to 3 minutes to testify, and those who represent an organization will have up to 5 minutes. Only one person from each organization will receive 5 minutes to testify. You will be called based upon the order of your registration. Everyone is currently muted to avoid background noise. When it is your turn to testify, your name will be called and you will receive a notification to unmute yourself. If you are having any difficulty, please send a note in the chat and our tech team will do their best to assist. All testimony will be audio only to minimize broadband issues and to ensure we can hear you clearly. Per tradition, we'll begin our hearing tonight by hearing from the youngest among us, our students. First, we'll hear from January Jordan, followed by Rosalind Dana and Cindy Lafayette.
Hi, I'm January Jordan. I am not a student, so I'm not sure why I was put with the students. I am a teacher in the county. I teach library media at Thunderhill Elementary School, and I just wanted to speak on behalf of the teachers in the union and in our community and ask that we work hard to fully fund our school budget. Last year, I returned to Howard County after a few years away because I believe that this county stood for educating the whole child, valuing the curiosity and research skills and literacy that make learning meaningful. While I've dedicated the last 7 years to honing my craft and achieving national board certification, my presence in the building is not about my credentials. It's about the measurable impact of a certified librarian has on student achievement. At Thunderhill, we've been able to increase our monthly book circulation from fewer than 1,000 to over 1,600 books per month. That growth represents hundreds of students building the stamina and identity required to become lifelong readers. However, a library's benefit extends far beyond the bookshelf. As a library media specialist, I serve as a co-teacher and instructional partner for every grade level. I bridge the gap between classroom curriculum and digital reality by teaching inquiry research and guiding students to deep questions and navigate complex databases. I teach media literacy, giving children the tools to verify sources in an era of rampant misinformation. I support digital citizenship, ensuring our students are safe, ethical, and responsible creators online. When a school loses its librarian, it doesn't just lose a special, it loses its instructional hub. Classroom teachers lose their primary partner in resource-rich lesson planning, and students lose equitable access to the very skills, critical thinking, and information management that 21st century workforce demand. I'm disheartened to be told that due to the budget cuts in the Howard County Public Schools, my position has been eliminated as a result of the 14 library media specialists being removed from the high school libraries. I respectfully ask that we try to fully fund Howard County Public Schools and ask that we prioritize library media specialists. Because when you fund a librarian, you aren't just funding a room, you are funding the academic integrity and future readiness of every student in the building. Thank you for your time and for considering the importance of the library media specialist in our public schools.
Well, thank you for your testimony, and thank you for your service to our children and our future.
Next, we'll hear from Rosalind Dana, followed by Cindy Lafayette and Dr. Linfeng Chen.
Good. Hi, my name is Rosalind Dana, and I'm in 3rd grade. I would like sidewalks and intersection improvements at St. John's Lane and Frederick Road. I would like these so that people can walk along the road safely, like kids, adults, and dog walkers. Right now, people walk on the road where the shoulder is, which is not safe because there could be a car pulling over who doesn't see it. Someone could get hurt. Another thing that needs improvement is crosswalks. I think crosswalks would be a good idea because it would be safer to cross roads. I would like crosswalks in front of Rita's so that people can walk to Rita's in spring and summer, and also crosswalks to get to Breezy Willow. I think you should put a ramp to get to the sidewalk next to Breezy Willow where the sidewalk ends and there's a curb. One piece of the sidewalk only needs a few squares of sidewalk to connect the two walkways where there's a curb next to Breezy Willow. In conclusion, I think sidewalks and intersection improvements would make our roads and community safer. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rosalind, for fantastic testimony on all of those important issues to our community and reminding us there are so many other things that we need to work on funding to create the best quality of life for everyone.
Next, we'll hear from Cindy Lafayette, followed by Dr. Lin-Feng Chen and Benjamin Schmidt. Okay, next we'll hear from Dr. Lin-Feng Chen.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good evening, County Executive Board, members of the community. My name is Lin-Feng Chen. I'm a proud resident of North Laurel and at-large member of the Board of Education, and also a county council candidate for District 4. I'm here to testify, urge the county to fully fund the school board request FY 2027 operating budget. Superintendent Barnes and the school board have the plan. Last Thursday, the school board put forward a responsible FY 2027 operating request of a new funding of $63.3 million and additional 95 positions that reflect real needs in our classrooms. This is including superintendent's proposed $4 million for special education and increase the teacher and the staff compensation. This budget prioritizes students through enhancing resources for special education and English as the second language students. For years of the high inflation, the starting salary about $60K is not enough for a new teacher in Howard County. If we want to recruit and retain high-quality educators, we must offer competitive pay. Based on superintendent's proposed budget, the board request budget seeks additional investments of adding 20 teacher positions in English language development, restore 14 high school science paraeducators, 20 middle school media paraeducators, and 14 high school media specialists. They are essential investments to make sure every child in our county has the opportunity to succeed, especially in an age defined by AI and innovation. We have the money. The county is projecting approximately $97 million in the new revenue, along with the $7 million in additional state funding. We have the financial capacity to prioritize education responsibly. We need your commitment to fund HCPSS at a historic funding level. Strong public schools are foundation of Howard County success. The public is watching which leaders and candidates have consistently supporting public education, teachers, students over years. Please fully fund the school board request FY 2027 operating budget. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Benjamin Schmidt, followed by Anthony DeBella and Jerome Buchenwiener.
Request on mute sent.
How's my audio?
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I'm Benjamin Schmidt, current president of the Howard County Education Association, representing 6,300 educators dedicated to our public school system. We see the needs of our students accelerate yearly, placing ever-increasing demands on educators, parents, and administrators, while the resources to support them continue to diminish. Nothing is cheap, especially in education, but the county has more than sufficient revenues to meet the school system's request. Although student growth in the school system continues to recover from pre-pandemic levels, costs of meeting the needs of our current students grow. Just like every other sector, HCPSS is wrestling a 25% cumulative inflation since the pandemic, as well as cost drivers such as transportation and healthcare. The SAAC's preliminary FY27 estimate projects $96.7 million in new recurring county revenue. This is over $40 million more than SAC previously projected for FY27, and that's excluding investment income, which has become a windfall for county coffers. The BOE's FY27 request is $63.2 million in net recurring funding, even using the county's own questionable framing that $14.5 million will be needed to replace prior one-time pay-go used for recurring costs. The board's request is within the county's projections. The board's budget request is one of the most transparent, responsible, and forward-looking requests I've seen in decades. Under Superintendent Barnes' leadership, the board is taking bold, creative steps to meet the needs of students and families using existing resources. That's something the county government and HCEA have always advocated. It includes reimagining support and programming for students receiving special education and/or language services. Other costs include expansion of public pre-K, vocational, and college preparatory programs, and community schools under the blueprint. Our entire community benefits from these resources, and they're a bargain for taxpayers. We cannot afford to continued cuts to staffing like we've seen each of the last 3 years. HCPSS has already cut support positions while supporting increasing student needs. The system has cut programs and expanded student walking distances to 1.5 miles, increasing the students' walk to over 30 minutes while carrying all of their belongings. We've lost electives in middle and high schools due to the increase in class sizes. The cuts HCPSS has already been forced to make have decreased library book checkout by 30%, eliminated the chance for students to start music and language instruction earlier, and pushed differentiation to classroom teachers. At a time when student needs are at an all-time high, we're forced to reduce their access to many resources. The county executive has raised the importance of preserving Howard County's AAA bond rating, and maintaining it requires continued, quote, fiscal discipline, end quote. We understand that concern, but bond ratings are a very narrow and ultimately short-sighted lens through which to view the HCPSS budget and the county's long-term health. A bond is, at its core, a promise we make that we all pay our bills and protect the county's financial standing. But as a community, we've made a promise too, to families who choose Howard County because of our schools, and to the students and educators. If we protect the county's standing on paper while allowing classrooms, staffing, and student supports to erode in practice, we risk becoming the promise that sustains our tax base in future. We need to make sure that we are treating everyone equally in the county government's budget. We are not here to demean or bemoan the raises that other departments have seen over the years, but the school system's piece of the pie, as far as traditional dollars, continues to decrease in percentage of the overall county's budget. It is time that we all band together in the community, regardless of unions, regardless of background, and regardless of who we are, to say that enough is enough. We shouldn't be fighting each other over what's left in the budget. Instead, everyone has been underfunded for years, and we cannot stand for it any longer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. This is Anthony DeBella. Can I get a sound check?
We hear
All
you,
right.
Anthony.
Hi, I'm a deep run spouse and a Mayfield and Homewood dad. The financial story of the past few years has been inflation. The purchasing power of municipal dollars has eroded in the same way our $3 coffee from 2014 now costs well over $4. This fact is ubiquitous, except in the eyes of our county executive when it comes to education funding. Despite annual pronouncements trumpeting an historic commitment to education, after adjusting for inflation, per pupil education funding since 2019 has stagnated. This stagnation of resources available to our schools resulted in the loss of about 100 instructional staff during both of the past 2 budget cycles. While inflation erodes the quality of our schools, our county executive sticks his head in the sand and hopes we don't notice that on a percentage basis, county revenue is diverted from our schools to other priorities. The same inflationary forces are also driving increases in operating revenue, which is projected to increase by $96 million in FY27. The money to fully fund the Board of Education's request is there. Recent county budgets have underestimated operating and investment income, generating historic revenue surpluses averaging $90 million a year since 2020. Already for FY26, the county investment fund balance is approximately $100 million ahead of projected levels, and investment income is on pace to exceed budgeted estimates by $14 million. The money is there. Surpluses may seem like a prudent way to manage finances, but they have an opportunity cost. These surpluses are unavailable to the operating budget, starving it of the funds necessary to keep pace with the inflation that drives both costs and revenue. Touting increases in education spending without the context of inflation does not foster necessary honest dialogue and is a disservice to the community. This misconception even pervades the present Spending Affordability Advisory Committee, who at the conclusion of their February 13th meeting exhibited a grossly negligent lack of awareness of the actual reductions of over 200 staff in our schools over the past 2 years. It doesn't take a PhD from George Washington University to understand the erosive effects of inflation, yet not a single member appointed to that committee spoke up to question the simplistic treatment of education funding discussed here and during their deliberations, despite the facts presented by our school's non-voting representatives. Given the Spending Affordability Advisory Committee's apparent lack of understanding to the negative effects of surpluses, in-depth questioning of their recommendation to withhold operating revenue is in order. Howard County is failing to increase resources for our schools as called for by the Blueprint for Maryland Future. It's all of Pillar 4. Yet our schools continue to address the growing needs of our student body, expanding pre-K and other Blueprint mandates. The curriculum is suffering. Instructors are bearing an ever-increasing burden, and our students are not getting the same Howard County education their parents received. The money is there. Fully fund the 27 budget. Bam! Time's up.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Jerome Bookin Weiner, followed by Lisa Markovitz and Liz Hammond.
Request on mute sent.
Jerome, are you with us?
Yes, I was muted.
We can hear you.
Can you still hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
we can.
Oh, okay. Because my screen is saying I'm muted. I'm here as the immediate past chair of the USA Track and Field Masters Committee and the lead organizer of 3 National Masters Championships held at the Prince George's Sports and Learning Complex. We're very familiar with what the needs are for an indoor facility, which are different for masters and for the high school and college meets that will undoubtedly also be in that facility. In addition to the national championships, there also will be regionals meets and international competitions that can be attracted to the new facility here. Track and field is the largest high school sport in terms of participation, and it's growing, especially indoor track. Masters is a major component of the largest number of athletes in USA Track and Field, and we very much want to contribute to the success of this new facility. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Lisa Markovitz, followed by Liz Hammond and Tonya Akins.
Lisa Markovitz is not here.
Okay, so next we'll hear from Liz Hammond.
Request on mute has been sent.
Liz, are you with us?
Oh, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Liz Hammond. In addition to being a Columbia homeowner and parent of 2 young children, I'm also the PTA president at Harbor's Choice Middle School, a director of the Anti-Racist Education Alliance, and chair of the Board of Education's Community Advisory Council. But tonight, I come to you for the 2nd year in a row on behalf of Stand Mentorship, their coaches, and the families who depend on them. Last year, I spoke about the transformational work being done by Stan's life coaches and the immeasurable impact that they have on our community. Last year, my testimony was a lot more desperate than it was hopeful, but a lot has changed since then, and I want to start from a place of gratitude tonight. Dr. Ball, we thank you for your additional county funding that you provided to Stan last spring and summer. We thank you for raising Stan's profile and increasing general awareness about the work that's being done and the people who are carrying it out. That exposure helped open doors to considerable private and community investment that helped to carry Stan's programming throughout the summer. We also thank you for convening the Yes Council and bringing so many dedicated community leaders together to support our young people. We commend the work of the Yes Council and greatly appreciate the report and recommendations that were recently published. With regard to the budget, the Yes Council report makes something very clear. We're spending far more reacting to crisis than we are on preventing it. Howard County spends $241 per day to incarcerate every young person. Community-based diversion costs about $75 a day in contrast. So the moral case for prevention is obvious. The fiscal case is there as well. Juvenile misdemeanor cases have increased in the last few years. And that it should serve as a warning sign that we aren't doing enough for our young people on the front end. Stand mentorship is exactly the kind of prevention investment that the county, I know that the county wants. It's violence interruption before violence happens. It's restorative support before a young person enters the criminal justice system. It's workforce exposure, accountability, belonging, consistency, all those things for teens who often feel like they have none of those things. And we have to be honest about something else. Not every teenager in crisis is worried about college admissions. Some of them are worried about whether they'll make it to next month. They're worried about how they're going to take care of their families. They're worried about their own personal safety. Mentorship for at-risk teens is really not enrichment. It is, a part of community stabilization. It's harm reduction. Our young people deserve this. Children are not problems. Children are not here to be managed. These young people are navigating trauma, instability, grief, poverty, systemic racism, and access to guns is very, very easy. So when we label them as problems, we're really avoiding our own responsibility. And I'm talking more to the community at large. All of these kids are our kids. If we only invest in the children who are already thriving, then we're not budgeting responsibly. We are budgeting comfortably, but prevention requires courage, and it requires investing in young people before they are, quote, easy to invest in. So the Yes recommendations call for violence prevention and harm intervention networks. STAND is already functioning as part of that network, but they're functioning without adequate funding. So the recommendations call for workforce pathways and paid engagement opportunities. Mentorship makes all of that stuff possible, but the mentors are burning out. Right now, their work is powered by completely exhausted volunteers and unpaid staff, which is not sustainable. If we fail to invest meaningfully in these mentors now, we will pay for it later. We will pay in incarceration, we will pay in lives, we will pay in emergency response, in court involvement, and in tragedy, including more gun violence. So prevention is not charity. It is the most practical public safety investment available to us. And again, it's what our children deserve. I'm asking the administration to move beyond small grants and pilot level support. STAND mentorship needs stable, significant funding that allows trusted adults to do the work full-time with training, accountability, and measurable outcomes. The budget is where values become operational. And if we say we believe in prevention, equity, and youth wellness, this is the moment to prove it. The kids will tell you who shows up for them, and they will tell you what works. This is what they want. This is what they've asked for. So we cannot incarcerate our way to safety. We cannot ignore early warning signs and expect different outcomes. And we cannot keep asking a handful of dedicated volunteers to carry the weight of this whole crisis on their own. All these kids are our kids. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Tonya Akins, followed by Amanda Hoff and Marcy Leonard.
Press on mute, sent.
Good evening, Dr. Ball, Ms. Gans, and Dr. Sun. I am Tonya Akins, President and CEO of Howard County Library System. Thank you for your longstanding support and for the opportunity to speak on behalf of residents who rely on the library as a place to learn, grow, and connect. With tight budgets across the county, we are especially grateful for your recent funding that restored 55 on-call positions through the end of the fiscal year. We know the difficult decisions you face and deeply appreciate your commitment to maintaining strong library services for our community. For FY27, the Board of Trustees respectfully requests a $1.9 million increase. This investment will fund a 7% wage increase for our unionized staff as required under our CBA and provide equitable increases for non-unionized staff because every staff member powers HCLS. Our request also includes increased funds for our collection and classes to address rising demand, longer wait times, and higher materials costs, as well as essential professional development for our team. These investments ensure we can continue delivering high-quality services in the core areas of our strategic plan. The first key area is ensuring that all children enter school ready to learn. Last year, nearly 81,000 parents and young children attended our preschool classes, enough to fill Raven Stadium. These classes, aligned to Maryland's early learning standards, support social emotional development, language and literacy, early cognition and STEAM skills, and physical well-being. One of our children's instructors at the Miller branch shared this story. A caregiver had been bringing the child she nannied to story times since he was 4 months old. After years of attending our classes, the child's pediatrician said he was so advanced he could skip a grade. His family attributed that early success to HCLS programs. For families without access to paid preschool, HCLS provides essential early learning from birth through pre-K, including our Kindergarten Here We Come programs, ensuring every student enters school prepared for success. The second key area is helping teens and young adults feel a sense of agency and belonging. This work is critical, especially when nearly 1 in 3 Howard County High School students reports feeling sad or hopeless for at least 2 weeks of the year. Through large and small programs, caring instructors, and welcoming spaces, the library offers teens a place where they are supported and valued. More than 100 teens are currently participating in an internship cohort at our Elkridge branch, collaboratively designing a new teen space. 84% say the internship helps them feel important, and more than 3 in 4 agree that their ideas are taken seriously, their abilities are valued, and the internship helps them connect with peers. Across teen action boards, clubs, and programs, we create opportunities for teens to contribute and build community. One teen specialist shared that her Teen Dungeons and Dragons club arrives ready to engage, analyze storytelling, and create layered characters, and they can't wait to return each week. HCLS sees strong teen engagement with more than 22,000 middle and high school students attending programs last year. The third key area, is building an inclusive, connected community where everyone feels they belong. Whether through the longest table, global neighbors, author events, film discussions, salons, book groups, or other programs, people come to the library seeking meaningful connection. A community member recently shared her experience. As a child in the 70s, the library opened worlds in my mind that would have otherwise been unavailable. Books allowed me to travel, to meet people from all walks of life, and to understand their challenges and victories. Reading expanded my understanding of the human experience and helped me feel less alone. I don't know who I'd be today if it had not been for Howard County's library system. We know you have tough decisions ahead. Demands are growing while resources are limited, yet libraries stand ready to serve everyone in our community. I respectfully request you invest in our residents by fully funding the HCLS Board of Trustees FY27 budget request. Thank you so much, and thank you for all you've done and will continue to do for our community.
Thank you for your leadership and service.
Next, we'll hear from Amanda Hoff, followed by Marcy Leonard and Nicholas Berry.
Request on the assent.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good evening, Dr. Ball. Good evening, members of the cabinet. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on behalf of the Howard County Tourism Council regarding our fiscal year 2027 Community Service Partnership Request. I am Amanda Hoff, Executive Director of the Howard County Tourism Council. Our offices are located on Main Street in Ellicott City. On behalf of our board, staff, and the more than 400 tourism-related businesses and organizations we represent, thank you for your continued leadership and partnership. We recognize there are many worthy causes in need of your support, and we deeply respect the decisions before you. We come before you not simply as another request, but as part of the solution, helping to generate the revenue that funds those very priorities. Tourism remains a powerful and immediate economic driver for Howard County. According to the 2024 tourism economics data, Howard County welcomed 3.2 million visitors who spent $830 million, generating $100 million in state and local taxes and supporting more than 9,800 jobs. The visitor spending strengthens our hotels, restaurants, retailers, arts and cultural attractions, and small businesses across the county. Tourism spending is an immediate economic stimulus. When we launch a campaign and visitors respond, they don't arrive years from now. They come within weeks. They book hotel rooms, dine in restaurants, shop in stores, and attend events. In many cases, we see economic benefit within a month. Few other economic development investments generate that kind of near-term measurable return directly into our local economy. The return on investment is clear. For every $1 invested in tourism marketing, $34 is returned to the state and local economies. Tourism-generated revenues support education, public safety, infrastructure, and essential county services while helping to reduce the tax burden on Maryland household. It is one of the few industries that brings outside dollars into Howard County and distributes them broadly throughout our community. In addition to regularly marketing Howard County as a premier destination through year-round advertising, digital campaigns, public relations, and visitor engagement, the Tourism Council continues to expand its strategic initiatives. In FY26, we completed a comprehensive restoration of the historic post office building, home to the Howard County Welcome Center, preserving its historic character while transforming the space into a dynamic visitor experience that encourages exploration of everything Howard County has to offer. We launched restaurant and craft beverage weeks at no cost to participating restaurants. We launched local HOCO open rewards that rewards residents with real dollars, residents and visitors with real dollars when they spend in local businesses. We continued bringing new youth and amateur sports tournaments to the county during need periods to help fill hotel rooms and drive off-peak visitation. We supported meetings and group businesses. We prepared for HOCO 250, and we launched a committee to promote the 151st Preakness at Laurel Park, building excitement around this historic event and leveraging it to drive visitor spending and economic activity throughout the county. These initiatives are designed to drive visitation, increase spending, and directly support our small businesses, particularly during slower seasons when they need it most. We also understand the broader economic uncertainty facing our community. History has shown that destinations maintaining consistent tourism investment remain competitive and recover faster during challenging times. Conversely, reduced investment has both immediate and long-term negative consequences. Now is the time to remain visible, strategic, and supportive of our local tourism economy. This evening, we respectfully ask that you fully fund our fiscal year 2027 request, consistent with the priorities outlined in our testimony. With your support, we will continue to deliver measurable economic returns and strengthen the business and workforce that power our economy. Tourism is a sound investment, and with your continued support and partnership, we will continue to deliver results that help fund county priorities and benefit all who live, work, play, and thrive in Howard County. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you for all that you do in your partnership.
Next, we'll hear from Marcy Leonard, followed by Nicholas Berry and Jade Shang.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Dr. Ball. My name is Marcy Leonard, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this evening about the operating and capital budgets for Howard County Library System. I've been a resident of Columbia for the past 48 years and have lived within walking distance of the Central Branch since its opening in 1981. As an elementary school student, my most cherished memories are visiting the library on Friday afternoons with my mom and sister to get lost in the stacks, ask the children's librarians for recommendations, and then head to the mall for dinner. As a middle and high school student, Central Library was a place I did homework, studied for the SATs, and first used a computer to look up colleges. As a social studies teacher at Wildlife High School, the library was the first place where I directed students looking for research resources for class assignments. And as principal at Wildlake, Appleton, and Hammond High Schools, the library was our trusted partner to provide academic and technology resources for families who don't have consistent access to Wi-Fi or computers at home. Central Library welcomes Wildlake's multilingual learners each year for a field trip to see the resources available to students, and visits the Teen Parenting Program monthly to share early childhood literacy strategies with the teen moms, so the children of children will be prepared for the kindergarten readiness assessment. Sadly, Central Library no longer meets the needs of our community, and your investment in the future Lakefront Library, as well as your continued support of the full funding request for the FY27 library operating budget, are integral to the continued health and well-being of our Howard County community members. At Central, spaces and amenities that our community takes for granted at our other branches, as they should, are non-existent at the Central branch, with no private study rooms, only a single meeting room for groups larger than 30 people, no dedicated teen center, no makerspace, no STEM classrooms, etc. In my new role working with Howard County Library System, I've learned that Central libraries and most library systems are the exemplars for learning, growth, and connection. And we cannot say that about our present Central Library building. What weighs heaviest on my heart about the present status of the Central Branch, as well as the need for full funding of the FY27 operating budget, is that the library is not the first place that our young people think of when they are seeking third spaces outside of home and school. It can be, and it should be. We know the challenges facing our youth are significant, and the library is the perfect place for them to find every resource they are seeking at no cost to them. The fact that multiple young people lost their lives to gun violence in our community in the last 18 months is heartbreaking. As you know, those are our kids, and those were my kids. Every next generation of Howard County community members deserve a library system that meets their needs, drives economic growth, and that they can come home to with their children and grandchildren. Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your testimony, and thank you for your years of service to the community in which you grew up.
Next, we'll hear from Nicholas Berry, followed by Jade Shang and Aaron Parker.
Good evening, Dr. Ball and the budget team. My name is Nicholas Berry. I'm a teacher at Oakland Mills High School for the past 12 years. I was also your 2021 Howard County Teacher of the Year. I testified before you in November or December of this year to ask for more funding for our school system, and I'm here to ask for that again. I've been involved in some of our protests for Oakland Mills High School asking for renovations for our school. Our school has been in desperate need of renovations since 2009, and according to our county's budget, according to our county's documents. And once again, Oakland Mills has been kicked down the road. In June of 2025, the Board of Education voted unanimously to approve renovations for Oakland Mills High School, and then in November, they voted to remove them. Members of our community had protested. Students and staff alike had been asking the board to please restore the renovations to Oakland Mills High School. In an email I sent to Dr. Lin Feng Chen, who testified earlier this evening and is running for county council, he replied, "Thank you for your advocacy. Both OMHS and CHS need renovations. Please ask the county to support that. Thanks, Lin Feng." I then watched Dr. Chen, as well as board members Chambly, Ricks, Watts, and Mallow, vote against renovations for Oakland Mills High School at their meeting on Thursday. Dr. Chen is correct that it's not just Oakland Mills that needs renovations. He's correct that Centennial needs renovations too. I know because I went there and graduated in 2010. Many of our schools need renovations, and we need the funds in order to do it. I have very little hope that Oakland Mills will be renovated anytime soon, and I know that many other county buildings and school system buildings are in the same shape. Likewise, our operating budget has not been meeting our school system's needs. You heard testimony from Ben Schmidt and several other people, including a library media specialist in my school system, asking you to fully fund the county's budget request. We need media specialists in our schools. We need science paraeducators in our science classrooms. What the board is asking for in our operating budget is not a luxury, it's a necessity. I heard your budget team ask earlier today, we need to figure out how to attract and retain a working population in Howard County as our aging population grows. Well, the way to do that is to do what has always brought people to Howard County, keep our school system great. If we do not have a school system that is exceptional, we will not have residents that want to pay the fees that it costs to live in Howard County. I grew up in Howard County. I cannot afford to live in Howard County, even if I wanted to. This means that we need to have a school system that allows people to say, even if I can't fully afford this right now, I want to send my children here. Please fully fund the board's request. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Jay Chang, followed by Aaron Parker and Raisa Herrera.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi. Good evening, dear County Executive Ball. My name is Jake Chan. I'm an Ellicott City resident and a Centennial community member. My testimony will focus on the school renovations. The deferred maintenance has been tremendously backed up, and it grows by $30 million per year. And if we don't commit at least that much, the list will grow longer and longer, and the situation will get worse. When it comes to individual schools, last year, the County Board of Education, after diligent teamwork and data-backed process, voted to put Centennial High School at the top of the prioritization list as the very first high school for renovation urgencies. Centennial High has 6 old and rotten portables, 3 classroom windows in the entire school, in need of extra 340 seats, and the only school with a porta potties without running water at the stadium level. HVAC is 50 years old and malfunctioning, 63 degrees in one room and 85 in another. Centennial High has the highest FCI score, meaning its renovation urgency is the highest. With the current timeline, if not pushed any further, we are talking about year of 2036, which is 10 years down the road. By that time, it's way overdue for Centennial High to have the renovation it is in need right now. I hope that my testimony can draw your attention to keep Centennial High the same #1 high school on the renovation list. Thank you very much for listening.
And thank you very much for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Aaron Parker, followed by Raisa Herrera and Jessamine Duval.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good evening, County Executive Ball. My name is Aaron Parker. Please fund our students' right to read. I'm here to urge you to protect the nearly $1 million investment dedicated to professional development in the science of reading in Howard County Public Schools budget. Literacy is the foundation of all learning. Yet currently, 2/3 of Maryland students are not meeting basic reading proficiency standards as shown on NAEP, known as the nation's report card. Our budget must reflect the reality of the work ahead. While we are committed to the science of reading, only 26 central office staff and 329 pre-K through 3 teachers in Howard County have fully met MSDE's updated training standards. The new MSDE adolescent literacy policy mandates that secondary teachers master advanced foundational skills to help students access complex texts. To meet these requirements, we must fund a comprehensive training plan that includes all elementary school teachers, as well as secondary ELA and content area teachers. Furthermore, we must budget for standardized diagnostic assessments. Universal screeners like DIBELS only identify if a student is at risk. We need diagnostics to pinpoint why they are struggling, such as phonological processing or decoding gaps. Without this granular data, our teachers are forced to guess which interventions will be effective for the 81% of our grades 3 through 5 students currently flagged on screeners. Student success also depends on fully funding positions for properly trained literacy coaches, reading specialists, and special educators. These experts provide the just-in-time feedback and coaching that allow classroom teachers to refine their daily instruction. Literacy coaches, reading specialists, and special educators should receive a higher level of training than the minimum requirements for classroom teachers so that they become experts who can improve outcomes by providing feedback for teachers and serve students as interventionists. Finally, investing in this infrastructure is a fiscal necessity. By building our internal capacity to provide evidence-based interventions for students with specific learning disabilities, such as dyslexia, we can reduce the district's reliance on non-public placements, which are incredibly expensive in terms of both provider fees and transportation costs. Mississippi consistently ranked at the bottom of the United States on NAEP, but now is #1 in the country. How? The science of reading. The Mississippi Miracle wasn't an accident or a statistical fluke. It was the result of a deliberate, aggressive overhaul of how children are taught to read. Invest in the transformation for the science of reading, and student outcomes will improve. Please protect this $1 million investment in professional development in the science of reading and fund the momentum necessary to ensure that every student in Howard County, regardless of their learning challenges, graduates with the ability to read proficiently. 67% of our kids desperately need it.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Raisa Hawera, followed by Jasmine Duval and Nikki Highsmith-Vernick.
First on mute, sir. There, that's-
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello, my name is Raisa Havera. I'm fortunate to be a Howard County resident, teacher, and parent. I also had the privilege of teaching County Executive Ball's daughter in middle school. I remember telling Dr. Ball that I called his then sixth grader my police officer, as she always helped to point out misbehaving students or classroom injustices. To be honest, during those first few years of teaching, I felt like I was drowning. In one room of 31 students, I had and still have English language learners, students with ADHD, ED, IEPs, and 504 plans, all needing accommodations and/or lesson modifications, all deserving attention and support I could not provide alone. But I teach a related arts class, the only time special education teachers get their well-deserved breaks. I love teaching. I love my students, but I cried many of those days. My planning period was spent calling parents, covering other classes, reviewing accommodations, writing referrals, or rearranging seating charts, rarely planning lessons. That planning was all done and often still is done at home. Eventually, the stress affected my own health, leading me to switch schools. I still carry overwhelming guilt for transferring from that first school. I had the privilege of living in a two-parent household, something many teachers in our county do not. Yet I left a school where I once walked by an eighth grader sleeping in a van with his mother in our school parking lot because they had nowhere to go that night. I watched a seventh grader walk home from the grocery store holding her infant sister, 4 siblings behind her, each carrying a bag of groceries. Those children deserved a small, nurturing classroom where I could give them my full attention and discover how they learn best. I share this all so you can understand how much our students need from their schools and how much teachers need to truly teach the whole child. Yet class sizes continue to rise, currently at 33. Classes are combined, teachers are surplus because we never seem to have enough money in the budget. One of my colleagues is teaching 7 different art and/or photo sections. How is one person expected to teach all those levels effectively? I'm fortunate to have a wonderful daughter who graduated college almost 2 years ago. She now earns about the same as what I make and what she considers a modest income. I have 17 years of experience in Howard County, a master's degree, and earned the same as my daughter at the start of her career. I love my students. Many call me their second mom, but I need Howard County to stop taking advantage of that love by not paying staff enough. I need you, Honorable Dr. Calvin Ball, to follow in the footsteps of your daughter and call out injustice by ensuring HCPSS budget is fully funded. Let this be your legacy: smaller class sizes, more educators in each classroom, and salaries that reflect the importance of the work we are entrusted to do. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Jessamine Duval, followed by Nikki Highsmith-Vernick and Carla Gates.
Jessamine Duval is not present.
Okay, so next we'll hear from Nikki Highsmith-Vernick.
Press unmute, send.
Nikki, are you with us?
Again.
Good evening, sound check.
Good evening, we can hear you.
Thank you. Good evening, County Executive Ball. I'm Nikki Highsmith-Vernick, President and CEO of the Horizon Foundation. We thank you for your vision and commitment to making our community a healthier, safer, equitable, and more connected place for all. It's been wonderful to work with you and your team on so many of these initiatives for the past 8 years. Thank you for your leadership. I know you will protect the investments and the progress we have made here in Howard County by prioritizing funding in this year's budget to help reduce longstanding inequities that have prevented many residents, particularly those from communities of color, from achieving good health. I will start with housing. Howard County is increasingly becoming unaffordable for many of our residents. Rents and home prices are too high, many apartments are aging and run down, our zoning laws are outdated, and we're not building enough places to live so that people of all incomes can actually afford to live in Howard County. I urge you to protect county funding for Howard County's housing programs and housing service providers. With cuts to the state and federal budgets, including certain grant programs, many of our nonprofits are struggling. County funding is critical for these groups and for existing housing programs that preserve housing stability, promote home ownership, and prevent homelessness. I also urge support for the next phases of downtown Columbia's development that will accelerate the building of mixed income housing communities to support the working families of Howard County. We're grateful for your support for the new Lakefront Library, along with the new housing development in Meriwether and the Old Central Branch site. Howard County needs to build over 11,000 units to address its housing shortage, and the cost of living in our community is outpacing incomes. While the affordability crisis is affecting all of us, Black and Hispanic residents are disproportionately impacted. This plan will help build drastically needed housing that would be truly affordable for community members who are increasingly shut out. I also urge your continued support for renters' rights in Howard County. Tenants currently struggle to obtain the rights and legal protections available to them under the law, leading to instances of tenant harassment, unsafe housing situations, and unlawful evictions. A county office with a mandate to enforce corrective action could help to ensure tenants stay safely housed across the county. To that end, and together with many of our grantees comprised of housing advocates and local service providers, we recommend that Howard County set up a standalone Office of Tenant and Landlord Affairs that will create a stronger and more centralized infrastructure for enforcing tenant rights, educating landlords about the laws they must follow, and managing complaints. As a first step, we urge you to dedicate funding in the FY27 budget to conduct a feasibility study to better understand what it would take to set up, staff, and operationalize such an office. Next, we urge you to dedicate funding to combat food insecurity and chronic disease through the Roving Radish Healthy School Meals and other programs. We thank you for your commitment to fund and launch a mobile farmers market in partnership with the Roving Radish. This mobile market has been such a great success since its launch 2 years ago, helping many low-income residents purchase healthy, affordable produce in their neighborhoods. We urge your continued support for this as well as other investments in healthy school meals and other programs. Unfortunately, with cuts to programs like SNAP coming from the federal level, our county's commitment to improving food security and good health for all is really important. And next, I urge you to continue support for enhanced school-based mental health services in Howard County Public Schools. Our partnership with you to expand these services, including one-on-one counseling, to every school in Howard County is something we are so deeply proud of. However, again, the budget crisis at the state level and impending cuts to many health programs at the federal level, including Medicaid, are putting community-based mental health initiatives like this at risk at a time when youth mental health needs continue to rise. We urge your continued support so all students can get the help they need. Finally, we thank you for your outstanding dedication and commitment to funding bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure projects at historic, record-breaking levels, and for making Howard County a nationally recognized model for how to bring the vision of complete streets to life. As the young student so eloquently requested this morning, we urge continued support and funding for complete streets, especially along Route 1 in Elkridge, Laurel, Jessup, and parts of Columbia. We applaud your administration's commitment to ensure that all residents can live healthy and abundant lives. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your testimony and your partnership.
Next, we'll hear from Carla Gates, followed by Rosemary Rosales and Raina May.
Request to unmute sent.
Okay, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Well, good evening, County Executive Dr. Calvin Ball and esteemed County Council members and executive staff. My name is Carla Gates. I'm a community advocate and your favorite denizen of 21044. I am on the board of the Community Ecology Institute and am testifying on its behalf this evening to ask you all to please maintain CEI's inclusion in the county's operating budget. As you know, CEI is a Howard County-based nonprofit. We work to cultivate communities and where people and nature thrive together. And we thank you for your past support of our organization. Since its founding 10 years ago, CEI has promoted community environmental stewardship, equity, education, health, and well-being through local nature-based education and action. Specifically, CEI leans deeply into Howard County's principles of education, community health, advancing environmental initiatives, and facilitating community strength. We have demonstrated our commitment to education by offering a variety of sustainable skills and workshops to the public. We've provided residents with more than 63,000 educational hours, and that's just in the past year through our nature-based programs. We've engaged more than 5,000 diverse community members in workshops, field trips, and classes. And we participate in the HCPSS Bridges After School program. Our commitment to community health is very clear because we participate with Horizon Foundation in the Healthier Choices Coalition. We've distributed over 27,000 pounds of produce to food insecure Howard Countyans through partnerships with Columbia Community Cares, Howard Community Colleges, Fueling Dragons, Laurel Advocacy Referral Services, and Grassroots Crisis Intervention. We advance environmental initiatives by hosting the Green Seeds internship program that provides environmental literacy and leadership and skills to young people. We've supported at least 70 community gardens throughout the county, including 100% of our Title I schools where community gardens are needed oftentimes the most. We've partnered with the University of Maryland Extension by providing garden space to 2 Master Gardeners communities. And lastly, we facilitate community strength by maintaining a robust volunteer program where people work together towards common goals. We invite community organizations such as the NAACP to use our space for community gardens. And this past year, when SNAP funding was interrupted because of a federal government shutdown, we pivoted and created the free food, fire, and friends dinners so that people could come, have some community and fellowship, and free food with no questions asked. So in summary, as a health equity advocate, I am really proud of the work that CEI does to support healthy people, healthy ecosystems, and a healthy Howard County community. We thank you for your past support, and we ask respectfully that you please continue our work supporting Howard County by including CEI in the FY27 operating budget. Thank you very much.
And thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Rosemary Rosales, followed by Rhina May and Angela Nichols.
Rosemary Rosales is not present.
Okay, so next we'll hear from Rhina May.
Request to unmute sent.
Rhina, are you with us? Okay, we will circle back. Next, we'll hear from Angela Nichols, followed by Christy Simon.
Request to unmute sent.
Members of the Howard County Council, Dr. Ball, and the public, my name is Angela Nichols, Development Manager for the Community Ecology Institute, and I'm writing to respectfully urge the Council to maintain CEI's inclusion in the county's FY27 operating budget. CEI's mission is to cultivate communities where people and nature thrive together. And I know that Carla just told you about a lot of numbers and things, but I want to speak to the importance of community. As a longtime county resident, a 4-year employee at CEI, and a parent of 4 daughters raised here in Howard County, I'm in a unique position to see that there's a growing need for spaces where residents can build connections, strengthen resilience, and care for each other and the environment in tangible ways. Our youngest daughter has severe emotional dysregulation. For the past 18 years, we have relied on friends, neighbors, faith communities, the school system, and community institutions and organizations to help us parent a child whose entire emotional system is rooted in trauma. Our lived experience has put us in a position to know firsthand the necessity for a community that is accepting, nurturing, and supportive. In times that feel increasingly uncertain, turbulent, and yes, traumatic, local institutions that foster belonging, health, and community stability are essential to all of us. CEI's work strengthens not only individuals, but the social fabric that weaves through thriving communities. Community is created out of safe, welcoming, diverse, and inclusive spaces that are grounded in empathy, shared learning, and environmental stewardship. CEI's unique programs create opportunities for those spaces to grow, to support mental health, youth development, environmental engagement, and food access, priorities that closely align with Howard County's goals for well-being and sustainability. As CEI enters its second decade, demand for its programs continues to grow. Research shows that excessive reliance on devices significantly impacts mental health, especially among young people, and society is beginning to push back. Families seek nature-based education, youth look for meaningful engagement opportunities, residents increasingly turn to community spaces that foster connection and well-being, and families like ours need a village. I am deeply grateful for Howard County's partnership with CEI over the years and for your commitment to investing in organizations that support healthy residents, ecosystems, and communities. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Christy Simon, and we will then circle back to Rhina May.
Okay. Request to unmute sent.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christy Simon. I'm the president and CEO of the Howard County Chamber of Commerce. The Howard County Chamber is dedicated to helping businesses grow and succeed. With over 700 members representing over 175,000 employees, the Chamber prides itself on being an effective partner for advocating for the interests of the county's business community. I'm speaking today to express our support for the Downtown Columbia Lakefront Library project, enabling the county to acquire the lakefront property necessary for the project while facilitating the conveyance of additional downtown Columbia parcels for much needed affordable housing. The Chamber has long supported the development of workforce housing, as outlined in our annual Issues for Legislative Action report. These units were envisioned in the Downtown Columbia Master Plan, a plan that the Chamber actively engaged in and testified in favor for. Advancing this component of the master plan is not only consistent with prior commitments, but it's essential to supporting the employers, the employees, and the families who rely on attainable housing options in Howard County. We also strongly support the economic development potential of the new development at the lakefront. A modern library combined with public investment and complementary private sector activity can help bring new energy, foot traffic, and business opportunities to this important part of downtown Columbia. We appreciate the $10 million contributed by the Maryland General Assembly, which is restricted to this project, as well as the significant investment being made by the Howard County Library System and its donors. These contributions demonstrate broad public and philanthropic confidence in the future of the Lakefront Library. At the same time, we do encourage the county to remain diligent in identifying opportunities to manage project costs where it's feasible, particularly given the scale and complexity of the development. We also urge continued dialogue around the long-term parking needs to ensure that the library, surrounding amenities, and future development are supported appropriately. High-functioning libraries provide access to lifelong learning resources, support workforce development, and foster an educated and informed workforce. All of these things are critical to maintaining a competitive, innovative, and economically vibrant community. We do appreciate your thoughtful consideration and your continued partnership in advancing projects that strengthen the economic health and quality of life in our community. And while I do have an extra minute, I would also like to express the Chamber's support of the testimony of our partner Amanda Hoff from Visit Howard County regarding the incredible fiscal impact that tourism has on our community. As we've seen through the spending affordability report, the county needs to grow our revenue, and Visit Howard County has definitely proven to do that for us. Thank you.
Thank you for your partnership and your testimony.
Okay, we're going to circle back to Rhina May, followed by Zach Dickerson and Philip Rogers.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Renee May, and I'm a Howard County resident, a professor of humanities at Howard Community College, and the co-chair of HOCO Palizzo, the Howard County Poetry and Literature Society. I am here to advocate for the new Lakefront Library. Books are powerful. I know this because I did not set out to become an educator. There was a point in my life when my direction was unclear. I was lost and looking for purpose when I stumbled upon a copy of The Great Gatsby, and something in that book cracked me open and made me feel that life was worth examining. I didn't know what to do with that feeling exactly, but I couldn't let it go. That curiosity, sparked by a story, led me to enroll at Howard Community College, the very institution where I now teach. A book I found by accident gave me a life I could not have imagined. I can't help but think about all the young people in this county right now who haven't yet found their books. My entire life turned on access, on being in the right place at the right moment with the right thing in my hands. That is not something every young person can count on, but it is something we can build. I've spent decades in the classroom watching literature do for my students what it did for me. I've seen a novel give a student language for something they couldn't say out loud. I've seen poetry become a lifeline. This is what happens when people are given access to literature and a community that says, this matters here. Through my work with HOCO Palizzo, I see what happens when a community invests seriously in literary arts. Literature connects us, creates a civic bond that holds a community together, reminds us that we are people with inner lives, and those inner lives deserve a home. That home should be the lakefront, where Columbia gathers, where we celebrate, where people of all backgrounds come together as neighbors, where this dream of a community has always found its center. To place a library there is to make a declaration that imagination belongs at the heart of our civic life, that knowledge and literature belong at the center of our community, not at its edges. Think about what it will mean for a child to walk to the water and find books waiting, to have that discovery happen in one of the most beautiful, most public, most beloved spaces in Howard County. Place matters. The setting in which we encounter beauty shapes how we receive it. A library on the lakefront doesn't just provide access to literature, it elevates it. It says, this is sacred. I'm asking us as an educator, as a community member, and as someone whose entire life was redirected by a single book to see this vision through. Not a library somewhere, this library here, where Columbia comes together. The return on that investment is measured not in money, but in lives, in the young person who finds her book and cannot let it go. Thank you.
And thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Zach Dickerson, followed by Philip Rogers and Phyllis Greenbaum.
Request unmuted sent.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Zach Dickerson, and I have been in Howard County Public School System track and field and cross-country coach for 13 years. I've also lived in Howard County my entire life. I'm here to talk about why building an indoor track facility in Howard County would be a smart investment, not just for our high school athletes, but for every resident in our community. Right now, there are no banked indoor tracks anywhere in the state, which gives Howard County a unique opportunity to become the first. A banked track isn't just a luxury, it's the standard for competitive indoor meets. Because we don't have one, our athletes are forced to travel elsewhere just to compete. Our county high school teams regularly travel to Prince George's County to compete in meets. Each season, we spend thousands of dollars renting that facility and paying for buses, money that leaves Howard County every single year. And that's just to access a basic flat track, not a championship level banked one. If we build this facility here, that money stays local. Even better, teams from across the state and beyond would come to us for meets. That means hotel stays, restaurant visits, and local shopping, turning Howard County into a regional hub for indoor track instead of a county that has to leave home to compete. The recent feasibility study stated that this investment would make the county money. The benefits extend beyond athletics. An indoor track would be a year-round community resource, supporting walkers, runners, fitness programs, adaptive sports, and seniors looking for a safe, climate-controlled place to stay active. It promotes health, wellness, and accessibility for residents of all ages. For our students, it sends a clear message. Howard County values youth, opportunity, and excellence. It allows our athletes to train and compete at the highest level right here at home. This isn't just about track. It's about smart spending, community health, and long-term economic growth. Building an indoor bank track would position Howard County as a leader and as a destination. Thank you for your time and consideration.
And thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Philip Rogers, followed by Phyllis Greenbaum and Mark Schwager.
Request unmuted sent.
Good evening, Dr. Ball. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Good evening, Dr. Ball and Howard County Council members. My name is Philip Rogers. I'm representing Howard County Public Schools athletics, as well as the Maryland Public Athletic Association in terms of the facility for indoor track or multi-sports use facility. As I said, I've been a coach in the county for 23 years. I have a very good understanding of what the coaches need. But this facility would be a major upgrade to what our athletes have currently. The facility is outdated. The bathroom systems are severely hampered in terms of the size for those meets down at the PG complex, and technology is outdated as well. The opportunity to have a banked track, a hydraulic banked track in the facility would provide county, regional, state, and national level type of competitions. That hydraulic track would also be able to be lowered, as Mr. Dickerson said previously, for other engagements such as pickleball, basketball, volleyball, and all sorts of different things that we can bring into the facility. One of the things that were brought up during the feasibility study was having a seated section of at least 3,000 spectators would draw in meets from everywhere, from, again, local competitions to regional, state, national, and possibly even international competition. Would be amazing for the tourism and the things like that in the Howard County area. One of the things I would also like to say is that over the last few years as an indoor track and field coach in Howard County, I've seen the opportunities of our own student athletes be taken away from them simply due to budget. And if we can eliminate having to go down to the PG Sports and Learning Complex and having something in our own backyard that's going to again provide the opportunity for our kids. Indoor track and field in general in Howard County is one of the biggest sports in terms of participation. And right now, the county's having to cut back on that and taking away those opportunities. I know on my own personal track and field team, I have had athletes go from 3 to 4 meets a season down to 1 or 2 meets a season, if even being able to get into the facility. In addition, we have pole vaults within Howard County, all conducted under one roof. Currently, right now, our pole vault systems are outside. They're pole vaulting out in the cold, the wind, the rain. With the first year potential, we got into an indoor facility, very minimal. But if we have an indoor facility, now they have a home to go to year round. Not to mention, most of our high school athletes train outdoors in the really, really cold weather. So getting a chance once or twice a week there to share that facility and go get some training is going to also help our student athletes. Again, Mr. Dixon mentioned that this facility, the feasibility study, is showing us that we can make money on this facility. Again, if it's laid out properly, it's going to be a great opportunity for Howard County, the residents, the student athletes, and everyone else involved. Thank you very much for your time, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thank you for your testimony, and I hope you also have a great evening.
Next, we'll hear from Phyllis Greenbaum, followed by Mark Schwager and Barbara Wachs.
Phyllis Greenbaum and Mark Schwager are not present.
Okay, so next we'll hear from Barbara Wachs, followed by Elise Carter.
Request unmute sent.
Barbara, are you with us?
Yes, I am here.
We can hear you.
My name is Barbara Wachs. I'm a resident of Elkridge, and I would like to discuss an issue impacting my neighborhood. Saturday, I attended a listening post held at the Elkridge Library, at which the owner of Elkridge Motors, Mr. Brian Wilson, stated that his property was available for purchase. I'm writing to recommend that the county buy this property, clear the property, and incorporate it into adjacent Rockburn Park. This would benefit the R20 neighborhood which surrounds it, as well as benefit Mr. Wilson, whose non-R20 automobile repair business is grandfathered in at that location. The R20 neighborhood would benefit because the grandfathering would be allowed to lapse, and the Timberview, Deer Ridge Lane, Ruxton Road, and Landing Road neighborhoods would have pedestrian access to Rockburn Park. An R20 or parkland use at this location would improve property values in the neighborhoods. Residents would no longer need to be filing complaints about perceived violations, which inevitably result in zoning hearings they must participate in. I have participated in numerous zoning hearings pertaining to this property over the years. They are frustrating and a waste of everyone's time and resources. Terminating the grandfathering and restoring the property to an R20 compatible use would eliminate the need for these zoning hearings, which only serve to make enemies of neighbors. It would also be undesirable for the property to be sold to another business that would perpetuate the contentious grandfathering. The automobile repair business is not compatible with the R20 neighborhood. The zoning hearings would undoubtedly continue. Once again, I urge you to seriously consider buying this property, clearing the property, and incorporating it into Rockburn Park. However, if this is too much to ask, a second, less desirable option might be for the county to purchase the property, hold it without allowing automobile repair to occur on the site for long enough such that the grandfathering of an automobile repair service expires, and then reselling it to a strictly R20 use. The key takeaway here is to let the grandfathering expire at this juncture. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Elise Carter, followed by Henry Stover and Kevin Cropper.
Request unmute sent.
Good evening, Dr. Ball and committee. As a member of the Board of Directors for the Downtown Columbia Partnership, I am testifying in support for the funding of the next stage of the new Lakefront Library construction in downtown Columbia. The Downtown Columbia Partnership is tasked to promote the growth and vitality of this community and its businesses, implement beautification projects, support transportation initiatives, and host events that bring people together. A state-of-the-art, innovative library in downtown Columbia overlooking the iconic Lake Kittamaqundi would provide the missing puzzle piece our lakefront community has been desperately needing, as well as aid us in executing our mission. Libraries are an enhanced center for learning, civic engagement, early childhood development, and so much more. They provide community third spaces, inclusive environments, and a plethora of free resources for individuals of all ages. The Howard County Public Library has a wonderful location servicing Howard County residents, in addition to a pop-up library and steam machine mobiles. While our beloved Central Branch has been integral for the downtown Columbia community, its infrastructure and capabilities have been surpassed by other branches. The proposed library deserves and an integral keystone to the 2010 Downtown Columbia Plan. A central and visible location will become a driver for at the lakefront, enhancing community efforts with Columbia Association. Increased consistent activity will serve as a catalyst for economic impact to the restaurants and businesses along the lakefront. As a child who visited the lakefront frequently, to now myself being an adult who has worked, lived, and played in downtown Columbia the way James Rouse envisioned it, a beautiful library at the heart of downtown Columbia would symbolize more than just a changing landscape. It would speak to the growth, innovation, and collaboration of a community that is diverse and in need of representation. Columbia is often cited as a visionary urban district and one of the top places to live and work in the country. We deserve a library that supports this vision and enhances it further. We trust the county executive and county council will share in this vision and support other community leaders who are working to create the reality of a lakefront library, enhancing education for all ages, encouraging creativity, advancing literacy, and most importantly, creating a community space that serves all. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Henry Stover, followed by Kevin Cropper and Vinny de Oliveira.
Request unmute sent.
Good evening. My name is Henry Stover. I am a customer service specialist at the Savage Branch Library of the Howard County Library System and a proud member of the Howard County Library Workers Union. On any given day, my coworkers and I check out hundreds of books, educational toys, and other materials, help people learn computer skills to apply for jobs, and run programs for all ages. We provide affordable printing and faxing, which helps residents with important documents like insurance claims that sometimes an email or e-signature won't work for. Throughout the system, there are really unique programs like the DIY Center where people can check out cake pans, gardening tools, and more. Project Literacy, which helps immigrants learn English and essential career skills, and Beyond Words that gives adults and children with developmental disabilities a place to participate and belong. Many other speakers have pointed out the importance of the library, but these crucial services cannot happen without my coworkers, which is why I'm here to ask for full funding in FY27 for our negotiated raises and essential library services like our on-call staff. Library workers come from a variety of backgrounds. Just at my branch, we have teachers, students, an actress, a former biologist, a current social worker, and a former biologist. I work with incredibly talented people, but despite this, it is hard to provide good service to your community if you're worrying about how you will afford groceries. Because of what library management claimed to be a small budget shortfall in FY26, we spent 9 months in costly and unnecessary arbitration with leadership over our negotiated wages. We can avoid that this year, but we need you to fully fund our negotiated wages, which will be on their own budget line. But I also want to advocate for a contract does not cover our on-call staff. These staff do a lot of physical labor, putting books back on the shelves, keeping the library organized, and some even support our after-school programs for teens, which is no small feat. We saw the outcry last week when library leadership callously attempted to suddenly eliminate these positions and lay off our coworkers, And I would like to thank the county and Calvin Ball for providing one-time supplemental funding to ensure these positions will be funded through the end of the current fiscal year. And still, we need to go further. We're asking for permanent funding for these 55 on-call positions, which starts with securing funding in this upcoming fiscal year budget. Given library management's inability to balance our budget without awarding themselves raises, it is even more imperative that the county fully fund our fiscal year 27 increases to protect library services, staff, and the communities that rely on the work we do every day. While library workers continue to fight for more budget transparency and cooperation with library leadership, we appreciate the county supporting us every step of the way, ensuring we can continue to do the important work that we do for our community. Thank you.
Thank you for all that you and your team does for our community, and thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Kevin Cropper, followed by Vinny de Oliveira and Sahira Rafiola.
All three of those people are not present.
Okay, so next we'll hear from Shamika Preston, followed by Leslie Vinson.
Unmute, Seth.
Shamika, are you here?
I am. I'm so sorry. It took me that long to get off of mute.
No
Can-
worries.
Can you hear me?
Patience is a virtue.
Oh, I appreciate the virtuous. All right. So I see my time is ticking. I'm going to kick it off. I'm Shamika Preston. I'm a parent of students in our public schools and a candidate for Howard County Council for District 4. And I am here today with two very simple asks. They are both in regards to schools. And in my opinion, they are both in alignment with our commitment to be the best county for all. Ask one is to fully fund the requested HCPSS operating budget. It is my belief that maintaining this commitment is a retention strategy for teachers, staff, and families. And then ask two. I feel like I have to give a little bit of context for this ask. In technology projects, we iterate. So we have these big projects and we break it down into little bite-sized pieces so that it doesn't cost a ton, it doesn't take a ton of time to give everybody something that they can put their hands in, and then we can iterate over time. And the reason I give that context is because of the operating budget. The high schools, the renovation funding for high schools was taken out of the latest version of the capital budget. And I think that there's a creative way that we can fund fixing our biggest problems across our high schools. At maybe not all of them, but definitely some. And right now we have zero that we're budgeting for. And I think that we can budget for at the very least one or two. And if we think about renovating them in smaller chunks, then maybe it doesn't seem as overwhelming. So my ask is that we look at the capital budget needs, the big chunks that will make a big difference in how students are learning and how safe they are in these learning environments, and target those repairs first so that we can get moving and not have continued compounding costs and have to fight inflation in order to get these schools with some level of renovation this year. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Leslie Vinson, followed by Marianne Halauer.
Hopefully Vincent is not here.
Okay, so next we'll hear from Marianne.
Let's unmute Marianne.
Hi. Yes, hopefully you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. My name is Marianne Hallauer, and I'm a partner with the law firm of Venable, but I'm here on behalf of the Middle Patuxent Environmental Foundation that I have worked with since it was formed in 1996 with the then Rouse Company and HRD in conjunction and collaboration with the Columbia Association and with Howard County government. I'm also a Howard County resident and have been so since 1983. The mission of the Middle Patuxent Environmental Foundation is to preserve and protect in perpetuity the Middle Patuxent environmental area for the conservation and restoration of native plant and animal communities, and to serve as a valuable natural area for environmental education in Howard County. It truly is a gem and a jewel that the county has established here, and one that many, many areas around the country look to as an amazing environmental attraction for all the citizens of Howard County. The Howard County Department of Recreation and Parks manages the 1,021-acre Middle Patuxent environmental area in cooperation with the Middle Patuxent Environmental Foundation, which is a board that acts to help with all of the educational aspects and scientific aspects of the Middle Patuxent environmental area. Currently, there are only 3 full-time staff positions to manage the entire area, and they also have other responsibilities for various natural habitat in the county. There is an additional position assigned to the Middle Patuxent environmental area, but it is a contingent position without any benefits. We're urging you to convert this contingent position into a full-time benefits eligible position. This is not simply a personnel matter, it's an ecological one. Effective land stewardship of a natural area is as complex and dynamic as the Middle Patuxent environmental area. It requires very deep site-specific knowledge that takes years to develop. And a staff member who knows where the early season invasive first appears, where the steam corridors are most effective, is so much better than someone who's newly onboarded. Contingent positions without benefits drive turnover, and every time institutional knowledge walks out the door, the land pays the price. Converting this position sends a clear signal that Howard County is serious about long-term professional stewardship of its natural areas. We also urge increased funding for invasive species removal. Tree of heaven, bamboo, wavy leaf, basket grass, and lesser celandine all pose serious and growing threats to the Middle Patuxent environmental area's native ecology. With these that were first identified in the United States right here in Howard County, we can see at the Patapsco River where it has spread to nearly every county in Maryland, which is a cautionary tale what happens without skilled management. Another invasive, which is lesser celandine, forms dense mats that smother all the spring wildflowers that serve as critical early season food sources for native bees that when they're emerging from the winter. Specialist native bees can't switch to other flowers. The Middle Patuxent environmental area has done commendable work controlling invasive species within its boundaries, but these are starting to really take over. And you can see again, as I said, in Patapsco Valley State Park, where without active management, the entire floodplains are now blanketed in these invasives. Native pollinators are already under significant pressure from habitat loss and disease, and protecting the native plant communities that are needed for native pollinators is a front line of defense, and this defense requires consistent, knowledgeable attention from permanent staff who know the land and have the requisite expertise. We urge you to please convert the Middle Patuxent environmental area contingency position into a full-time benefits eligible position and increase funding for invasive species control. This investment is a modest one in Howard County, but the long-term benefit to our community and natural heritage is very significant. Thank you so much for your consideration of this important line item in your budget. I appreciate the opportunity to testify.
Thank you, and we appreciate your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Richard Colladubritz, followed by Jessica Nichols and Kat Carter.
Richard Colladubritz is not present.
Okay, so next we'll hear from Jessica Nichols, followed by Kat Carter and Jess Lee.
Good evening. Good evening, Dr. Ball. Thank you for the opportunity to testify tonight in support of fully funding the Howard County Public School System budget. Our schools are the foundation of this community, and the choices we make in this budget will determine whether our students have the support they will need to succeed. I recognize that the county is facing real fiscal pressures this year, and that difficult budget decisions lie ahead. At the same time, the strength of Howard County Public Schools has always depended on the choices we make to prioritize education, even in challenging fiscal environments. Our educators and school staff are the people who make Howard County's reputation for educational excellence possible, and they deserve the resources and support needed to do their jobs well. As the county considers the fiscal year 2027 budget, I want to highlight several areas where investment is essential if we are serious about meeting the needs of our students and continuing to implement the blueprint for Maryland's future. First, our schools need critical staff who directly support student learning, including science paraeducators and library media specialists. Science paraeducators allow students to safely participate in hands-on labs, inquiry-based learning that helps them to prepare for careers in STEM, and library media specialists help students develop research skills and a lifelong love of reading. Second, we must invest in the safety and well-being of our student athletes by ensuring every high school has adequate access to athletic trainers who do more than respond to injuries during games. They help prevent injuries, manage concussions, and ensure that students can safely participate in sports. Third, Howard County must continue expanding access to high-quality pre-K. The blueprint calls for significant expansion of pre-K so that more students can enter kindergarten ready to learn. Ensuring access to early learning opportunities is one of the most effective ways we can support long-term student success. Finally, HCPSS continues to face significant needs related to deferred maintenance and school construction. The Spending Affordability Advisory Committee report makes clear that the county faces difficult fiscal decisions, but budgets are statements of priorities. When we invest in our schools, we invest in the long-term strength of our entire community. As this process continues, I urge the county to continue working closely with the Board of Education and maintain Howard County's longstanding commitment to strong investment in public education so that our students and educators have the resources they need to succeed. Howard County schools did not become one of the best school systems in the country by accident. They became great because this community consistently chose to sacrifice to invest in its students. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Kat Carter, followed by Jess Lee and Lan Lan Zhu.
Request unmute sent.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good evening. My name is Kat Carter, and I serve as president of the PTA Council of Howard County, PTAC, representing PTAs and parents across our school communities. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Over the past several years, families have often heard that school budgets are increasing, but parents understand something important. When inflation outpaces growth, higher dollar amounts do not mean greater investment. Over the past decade, real per pupil spending in Howard County has declined by about 2.5%, while statewide it has increased by more than 5%. In real dollars, that means Howard County students are falling behind. Parents see the impact. Over the last two budget cycles, schools have lost about 100 student-facing staff positions each year. Class sizes have increased, course offerings have narrowed, staff are stretched thin. These are not abstract numbers. They affect students sitting in classrooms every day. The Board of Education's FY27 operating request reflects careful prioritization. It reallocates resources where possible and makes strategic investments, particularly in special education. These investments will improve services for students with IEPs while helping reduce costly non-public placements over time. That approach is both educationally sound, and fiscally responsible. We urge the county to fully fund the Board of Education's request using all available revenues, including investment income. A conservative approach to surpluses may appear prudent, but when inflation drives up salaries, health benefits, and operating costs, and funding does not keep pace, schools absorb the difference through staffing reductions and program cuts. At the same time, expectations continue to grow. The blueprint for Maryland's future requires expanded pre-K, national board certification incentives, and additional supports. Howard County is expected to contribute at a level consistent with its wealth. And with the shift of pensions costs from the state to counties in FY26 and FY27, simply reverting to historical funding will not meet current demands. Parents also see that schools are being asked to do more, support student mental health, address food insecurity, and coordinating services well beyond traditional academic instruction. These supports matter. But if schools are expected to serve this expanded role, they must be funded accordingly. Turning briefly to the capital budget. As enrollment growth slows, priorities must shift from expansion to maintaining the schools we already have. The HB 1450 task force found that maintenance funding has been roughly half the industry standard, resulting in an estimated $200 million deferred maintenance backlog, including about $100 million in aging roofs and HVAC systems. That backlog grows by roughly $30 million each year. Safe, well-maintained buildings are not optional. They are fundamental to learning. Howard County families value strong public schools. Strong schools require stable operating support and responsible capital investment. We respectfully ask the county to fully fund the FY27 operating request and prioritize addressing deferred maintenance so our students can learn in well-supported classrooms and safe, healthy facilities. Our children only get one chance at each grade level. We must ensure we are investing in them in real terms, not just nominal ones. Thank you for your time and your commitment to Howard County students.
And thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Jess Lee, followed by Lan Lan Zhu and Lisa Markovitz.
Let's unmute Send.
Hello. Good evening, members of the council. My name is Jess Lee, and I'm a resident of Howard County and work as a business integration and support services specialist at the Howard County Library Systems Administrative Branch. I also proudly serve as chapter chair of Howard County Library Workers United of AFSCME Local 6359, representing the dedicated workers of the Howard County Library System. And I'm here tonight to urge you to fully fund the negotiated wage increases for our dedicated staff as outlined in our collective bargaining agreement. I'd also like to thank you for offering the recent one-time supplemental funding for my 55 coworkers at the library. 7 days a week, library workers provide essential services to the community members of Howard County. At every branch, we have educators, information specialists, and community connectors with our support services department who collaborate closely with other county agencies, including the school system and health department. Our materials management teams, from selectors to cataloging to processing, who work diligently to ensure community voices are reflected back in the collections being built. Our interlibrary loan staff ensure that we remain connected to other library systems nationwide, expanding resources, and some of our smallest departments make an outsized impact. Programs like On the Road to Kindergarten and Head Start ensure that early literacy resources and beyond are accessible to families supporting our youngest learners. Across the system, we provide critical resources and maintain safe, welcoming spaces for all. And yet, despite concluding our first contract negotiations in May 2025, bargaining unit employees have not received the negotiated increases. It is unacceptable that the very people who serve this county every day, who make the library run, have been asked to wait so long for the compensation they bargained for in good faith. Management thought it was equitable to not only pay themselves in a timely fashion, but that they should receive the exact same increase as those fought for in the bargaining unit. When we know a 1% increase means something very different for someone earning $250,000 versus someone earning $40,000 a year. Throughout this process, management has not been transparent with staff or the public. I implore you to not let what happened in fiscal year 26 happen again in fiscal year 27. Last year, library leadership told our union that because of a very small budget deficit, they were unable to fund our negotiated raises. As a result, we spent 9 months in costly arbitration with leadership rather than prioritizing investment back into staff and community services. We can avoid that this year. We are asking you to fully fund our negotiated FY27 increases so that library workers are paid fairly and on time. Last year, I came before this council to clarify misinformation given by library leadership. They stated that they could not honor the wage increases within our signed contract because the county had denied our increases. I am back this year to ask for the support of Howard County, fund our negotiated raises, and respect our union contract. Library workers are standing together with our community. We are asking you, members of the County Council, to stand with us so we can continue serving Howard County with the excellence and care our community deserves. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Lan Ju, followed by Lisa Markovitz and Mary Kay Canahan.
Good evening, Dr. Ball. My name's Lan Xu. I'm here tonight to urge you to fully fund the school system's fiscal year 27 proposed budget. While education funding has increased over the years in nominal dollars, when adjusted for inflation, local per pupil funding has largely stagnated since fiscal year 2019. But student needs have grown. Since 2018, farm rate has increased from 22 to 28%. Special ed enrollment has risen from 9 to 12%. English learners have grown from 5 to 7%. Pre-K enrollment has expanded and transitioned from half-day to full-day. These are not marginal changes. They represent thousands of additional students requiring specialized services. Flat funding in real dollars combined with rising needs inevitably strains classrooms. We are seeing significant worsening in performance indicators in our schools across the board. According to MSDE report cards, the number of HCPSS schools receiving 3 stars or lower increased from 7 in 2018 to 23 in 2025. At the same time, the number of 5-star schools dropped from 31 to just 10. These statistics are not just numbers on paper. They are reflected in people's everyday experiences. When I speak with parents and educators across the county, I have heard the message loud and clear. Cuts to educator positions, larger class sizes, and the loss of critical programming that serves our diverse student body are harming our students. This budget before you is not about expansion. It is about preventing further erosion. We must stabilize our classrooms. That means protecting teachers, para-educators, special ed staff, multilingual learner supports, school psychologists, media specialists, and more. Strong schools do not happen by accident. They require sustained investment aligned with student needs. Strong public schools are the foundation of a thriving Howard County. Investment in education is not simply a budget decision. It is a strategic decision about the future of our community. I respectfully urge you to fully fund the school board's budget request so that we can get back on track towards building an excellent school system for all our students. Thank you for your time and consideration.
And thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Lisa Markovitz, followed by Mary Kay Canahan and Ryan Powers.
Lisa Markovitz is not present.
Okay, so next we'll hear from Mary Kay Canahan.
Unmute sent.
Good evening, all. Dr. Ball and everyone, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Mary Kay Nippert Canahan. I serve as president of the Columbia Downtown Housing Corporation, or CDHC. I'm here to express strong and unequivocal support for the full funding of the new central library at Lakefront and desperately needed affordable workforce housing development that this plan unlocks in the Meriwether District. A new central library has been part of Columbia's public vision for nearly 20 years. The Downtown Columbia Plan and the 2016 Development Rights and Responsibilities Agreement, known as the DRRA, committed to creating an expanded library in the heart of downtown. Today, after years of planning, negotiation, and unprecedented coordination among state and local government and business, that vision is finally within reach. But this isn't just a library project. It is the most significant strategic initiative to accelerate affordable housing downtown that we have seen since the 2016 DRRA was adopted. See, under the DRRA, Downtown Columbia must deliver 900 affordable units over 30 years. We are now 1/3 of the way through that timeline, but only about 15 to 16% of those units have been built or committed. That gap is serious, and closing it requires bold strategic moves, not incremental ones. We thank the administration for standing by that legislation, and we remind our county councils of their civic responsibility to do so as well. The new Central Library was originally planned as a multi-use facility in the Meriwether District on a parcel that is also obligated to deliver mixed income housing with perhaps as much as 120 affordable units. Shifting the library to the lakefront allows that site at Meriwether to be transferred immediately to the Housing Commission in order to move forward with building affordable housing without having to wait for the design, construction, and sequencing of a major public library building. This single change of separating these two functions, the library and housing, creates multiple benefits. It removes a bottleneck that has delayed housing production. It allows the Housing Commission to design and finance development on a faster, cleaner timeline, and it enables the county, including the county council, to deliver more of its DRRA required affordable units sooner to the benefit of the citizens we serve. On the library itself, a central library at Lakefront will be a transformational asset for our cultural, educational, and civic life and serve hundreds of thousands of people a year. The key point I want to emphasize is this: the Lakefront Library and the Meriwether Affordable Housing are two halves of the same strategy. Each one strengthens the other. The library becomes the civic heart of downtown, and the Meriwether housing site becomes a catalyst for desperately needed mixed income affordable housing, as so many people have spoken to tonight. Together, they fulfill the mission of the CDHC to use its $9.3 million funds to provide inclusive mixed income housing, advance the goals of the downtown plan, fulfill the promises of the DRRA, and it upholds Mr. James Rouse's vision and the values this county has long claimed as its own. For these reasons, I urge you to fully fund capital improvement for the Central Library, and through that action, help accelerate the affordable housing that downtown Columbia desperately needs, deserves, and is waiting for. Thank you again for your leadership and your commitment to a more inclusive, vibrant future for all Howard County residents.
And thank you for all that you've done for our community and your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Ryan Powers, followed by Jennifer Holt and Lee Anderson. If you have not testified yet and you are here, please put your name in the chat so we should call on you.
Good evening, County Executive Ball and staff. My name is Ryan Powers, and I'm from Glenwood. I'm a member of the Howard County Education Coalition, but I'm speaking tonight as an individual. Please fully fund the school system budget to avoid a third consecutive year of cuts. There are no more third grade strings and gifted and talented programs to cut. The school system has made cuts to the bone already. Without a fully funded school budget, parents, staff, and students will experience 3 years of class size increases, 3 years of staff reductions, and 3 years of program cuts. Please say no to 3 in a row. I don't understand your letter to the school system asking them to absorb $14.5 million in emergency funding provided last year. The county continues to earn significantly more through investment income than predicted, and it should use that excess funding first. I'm also concerned that your administration is looking to invest in projects like a second ice rink when school deferred maintenance has reached $193 million. HCPSS infrastructure investment has not kept up with inflation. For at least the second year in a row, the Spending Affordability Advisory Committee has suggested that Howard County focus on basic priorities like school infrastructure, roadways, water management, and reduce spending on new projects. Please take care of the basics first. I also ask that the administration stop touting its historic investment in the school system year after year without showing what inflation has done to the value of those dollars. It is also tone deaf for residents to receive messages like declining enrollment without any context about changing student population needs. HCPSS has had significant increases in special education, English language learners, and homeless students whose additional funding needs mean that a fully funded school budget is more important now than ever. Limiting testimony to only a virtual format means that community members don't really have the chance to talk with one another or with you. I know of at least 2 large educational events happening this month, and I hope you will attend both so that the community can finally have an important dialogue about our schools. Since residents can't really talk to each other here, if community members would like further information, they can contact me at hocoeducationcoalition@gmail.com. That's hocoeducationcoalition@gmail.com. We need to talk to a community, and we need to hear from you. I always appreciate that your leadership is demonstrated through your dedicated staff members, but I also ask that you, Dr. Ball, show up as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Jennifer Holt, followed by Lee Anderson and Karina Fisher. As a reminder, if you are here and you have not yet testified and wish to do so, please indicate so in the chat.
Jennifer Holt is not here.
Okay.
Lee Anderson is. What's done so?
Lee, are you here?
I'm here.
We can hear you.
Great. Am I ready to start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for hearing my testimony. My name is Lee Anderson. I'm better known to some of you as the founder of the Doodle Hatch Interactive Art Museum that welcomes up to 7,000 children and families each year. And thank you to the county for its support. Today, I'm here to represent a new opportunity to Howard County, the Maryland Fashion Institute. It is ready to launch, and we believe it will be a rare asset to Howard County. It will also bring entrepreneurial training and enrichment to our community at a relatively low cost to Howard County. There is no direct equivalent in the US, and it is rare in the world. This opportunity combines education, practical experience, and light manufacturing. Garment production, as an example of light manufacturing, as you know, left the US in the 2000s, but the next generation is discovering the value of creativity and personal expression in their clothing and their lives. College degrees are expensive and earned in the classroom. They don't necessarily give the student real-life business skills. And as you know, there's a growing trend towards gaining practical skills that cannot be taken over by AI. In addition, the growing number of our older members of our community are healthier mentally and physically when they engage in creative making. This confluence of the aging of Howard County and the new awareness of the health benefits of making in a group is an opportunity for a new exciting version of local cottage industries. These new cottage industries can bring extra income to this mature community. They enjoy their craft skills and have time to make fun artistic components for the young designers who are interested in producing limited run special clothing. This clothing is a counterpoint to the commercial clothing made offshore that floods our department stores and chain stores. Howard County has a unique opportunity to keep the Lee Anderson Incorporated Design Studio and light manufacturing plant here in Howard County and turn it into a makerspace and education for this new version of the fashion industry. As some of you know, I have a health challenge that has resulted in my retirement as a designer. But I love education and our community, and I have a great deal of knowledge to urgently pass on. The Lee Anderson label, as some of you know, designed and produced over 60,000 art garments and shipped them to 1,200 boutiques in the US. And all of this happened in Howard County. I sent a 50-page PDF to you that details the 200 skills that students can learn at MidFin, the Maryland Fashion Institute. The website is mdfin.org. The physical plant, currently owned by Anderson Becker, has a listed value of over $1 million, and it includes almost 3,000 rolls of fabric, 1,000 trims, 10 industrial machines, specialty machines, huge cutting tables, industrial cutting knives, industrial shelving, mannequins, dress forms, rolling racks, and a photography studio, plus more. My husband and I are offering to donate $800,000 worth of the plant to Howard County. I am asking Howard County government to purchase the remaining 20% at $200,000 and commit a further $30,000 to help pay for the move to the new location when our current location, Longreach Village Centre, is knocked down as part of a fresh new redevelopment. If Howard County wants to have MidFin in Howard County and agrees to purchase the 20% of the plant, we intend to launch a capital campaign to fund the purchase of a long-term home. We would be delighted to meet the Budget Committee in person to answer any questions, ideally at the Longreach Village Centre, so you can see the plant in person. Thank you for hearing my testimony on behalf of the Maryland Fashion Institute.
Lee, thank you for your testimony, and thank you for helping to enliven so many lives with your imagination, your creativity, your expertise, and all that you've done when it comes to the fashion industry and so much for our community for so many years. We greatly appreciate you, and countless others who aren't even on watching this budget hearing greatly appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ball.
Next, we'll hear from Karina Fisher, followed by Cindy Lafayette and Jim Sanders. This is the last call. If you are here and have not signed up to testify and would like to do so, please indicate so in the chat.
Karina's unmuted.
Hello, I'm unmuted. Just wanted to check in before we start.
We can hear you.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Ball. I'm attending tonight's residents' budget hearing to testify in support of the school system's budget request, both for operating and for capital. For the operating budget, please fully fund the request that is before you. Each and every year, we hear about additional classroom size increases and staff positions that are either cut or repurposed. And as a community, we listen to our teachers testify as to how their stress level is ever increasing and reaching unsustainable levels as they continue to juggle continually overcrowded classrooms, combined with less and less professional support, and struggle to manage the growing needs of students, all while trying to meet the expectations of delivering the world-class level of academic delivery that this county continues to market to new residents in a growing tax base. For the capital budget, please fully fund the request that is before you. The list of schools in need continues to grow, and now with our school system under the added weight of the rate of inflation growing to 63% for construction costs, it has made many school advocates who have followed the budget closely wonder when someone is going to pull the emergency level. We do recognize that the deficit that we are in now cannot be come by county investment alone. Please help us to sound the alarm to our state partners for additional efforts like Built to Learn 2 or its equivalent. We follow the state. We do applaud efforts ongoing. I know Dr. Chow had tried to get the enrollment numbers on the reporting cycle that wasn't a year behind. That fiscal note was too much. That effort died. This year, I give a kudos to Delegate Feldmark for putting up legislation that sought to address inflation. Unfortunately, that does not seem like it's going to go anywhere. We just need to keep trying. I do want to say that the Built to Learn money did help advance some additional projects this year. Also, in listening to Board of Education hearings, we did hear how they received a successful audit this year. But one thing that an astute board member, Jen Mallow, pointed out was where are areas that they can improve. And one was they do not seem to have the capacity to be able to collect past due debt, but yet we see them taking on discussion of fees for service. But it is a little concerning that to do that, we don't have a collection system in place. So hopefully maybe some collection systems that don't deprive students of their services could be maybe partnered with the county for your expert advice. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Cindy Lafayette, followed by Jim Sanders.
Request unmute sent.
Good evening. Confirming you can hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Okay. Good evening, Dr. Ball. Thank you for your patience. I do apologize for any background noise. I am out of town, but nothing is more important than speaking up for our schools. And I want to thank the community who helped to keep me in touch this evening so I can take the time to do that. I read the letter to the superintendent and the Board of Education, and there is no better place to spend new revenue than on our children. Yes, we are dealing with unemployment and rising costs in our economy. Yes, we have more seniors aging in place that need our support. We have recreation and infrastructure and affordability, and we know that housing is in crisis. Yet we use zero imagination and have zero creative solutions on how we, as Democrats, should be looking to publicly fund solutions to support and lift up our schools and our communities. We've lost our way as we continue to capitulate to supply-side progressivism, creating housing policies and zoning laws that do not reinvest into our communities, but allow Trump-supporting investors like Bill Ackman to infiltrate and lobby locally using logical fallacy and straw man arguments to turn our own ideologies against us while lining their own pockets. What's missing in our county is prioritizing the care and reuse of our existing buildings and focusing on cooperative economics that replace our development-oriented politics in Howard County. Imagine the reinvestment into our community and the ROI for our schools. But we see continually that you want the schools to do less with more and use what we have, and we should also be doing the same for how we work to solve our problems countywide. Otherwise, we spend year after year haggling about funding for our schools, fighting over who's getting a renovation, leaving Elkridge out of the mix who desperately needs a high school, while pet projects move forward and we watch the reasons for the carnage cut their meat and lick the gravy. My advocacy through Alliance for Neighborhood Schools has been working to bring children back into their communities. Our data and evidence-backed community-engaged advocacy helped lead to a redistricting plan that will benefit our schools and our children long-term. We believe that our schools should not mean equity in our investors' pockets, but meeting our kids where they are and providing the supports that they, their families, and their communities need. I've sat through every Board of Education public work session and hearing this season, and what I'm hearing time and time again is we're asking for money for support and intervention, teachers, and safe and healthy buildings for our students and our children and our teachers to learn and teach in. Looking into this budget season, I will ask you again, as I did in the first budget hearing, to set politics aside and prioritize our children and our schools and ask yourself, what are my priorities? Where does my heart truly lie? What legacy will I leave behind? Thank you, and I look forward to a fully funded budget for our schools this season.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next, we'll hear from Jim Sanders.
Request unmute sent.
Can I be heard?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So my name is Jim Sanders. I'm a 40-year resident of Howard County and a very active community advocate. I'm a professor of entrepreneurship and innovation at the University of Maryland and at Johns Hopkins. So I'm testifying today focusing on aging and the improvement of collaboration in between the various healthcare and aging services. So, the key point is the aging population is a very large and growing part of Howard County. We're 13.3% of the population now, soon to grow as much as to be 20% in the next several years. So, I'm speaking today as a representative of Age-Friendly Howard County, which is a coalition of members from the various aging groups. So this group was founded around the need for housing and healthcare appropriate to the life cycle of aging. So the platform is to implement the many ideas from the age-friendly program, such as the age-friendly or Howard or the Opportunities Master Plan or Longevity Ready Maryland. What we're finding is that the aging demographic continues to grow, but actions that are responding to the speed of the change have not kept up. So I have 3 proposals today. Proposal 1 is to create a Longevity Ready Howard County program modeled after the state Longevity Ready. So that has 3 components. First is to re-envision how the elements of county government and locals, for-profit and nonprofit services work together with the goal to transform the relationships, to view it as a systems problem, and to create a collaboration model that is effective for both parties. The second part of the Longevity Ready Howard County is to create a strategic plan designed to improve and support the health and well-being and quality of life for all citizens. Again, Master Plan for Aging means it's an all-in, all elements. Sadly today, we're very silo-based, and so the great need is that we need to have a coordination and collaboration and that makes it possible for all parties to work effectively together. And then the third big part of that is the leadership development mechanism reporting to the county executive. Again, I came as an organization, so I'm expecting 5 minutes, not 3. So I'm going to go on talking unless you say to stop. So the coordination is intended to redesign the Office of Aging to move to a direct report to the county executive, which is the peer group of what is true in Montgomery and Baltimore County. And the big idea is we need a leadership function if we're going to have a collaboration and coordination. So that's of the 3 asks today. Ask 1 was a master plan for Howard County. Ask 2 is to implement the improvement of the emergency room wait time based on the age-friendly ER methodology, which there are 400 hospitals that implement this methodology developed by emergency room doctors. What they find is when they implement practices unique to the high volume aging population, they do 3 things that creates very significant ER wait time improvements. The 3 things are, it's about practices, not capacity. So the practices are much more screening for high risk conditions in the aging field, enhance assessment of the needs of the aging audience when they come into the ER, and then a faster workflow and transitions. So the outcome of the ER, it's called geriatric emergency room ER practices, is the increased wait time in the ER is as much as 25-hour decreased time in length of stay in the ER, significant cost savings. So we brought this opportunity to the president of the hospital some 10 years ago, and we were very disappointed that their response was that we have a way to do it at Hopkins, that we really don't need to address this, even though this is 400 hospitals do this practice. But the last ask today is creating a master plan for housing and living, which deals with the life cycle of aging, which essentially means that we're looking not only at housing units, but we're looking at the upflow of the need for adequate assisted living, nursing, and evaluates the whole life cycle. So the ask is that we step away from zoning and planning based on all housing units are a unit, and we deal with the reality that housing units change as people's in the life cycle of aging. So thank you for your consideration of these three options, and please read the write-up. So I'm the last one today. Well, thank you for staying with us. It's a long day.
Well, thank you for your testimony. And yes, you are the last to testify tonight. Please, everyone, know that you can continue to send your thoughts, your ideas via email and reach out. And I greatly appreciate everyone who participated this evening, our illustrious panel who gave some very helpful information, as well as each and every resident who shared your thoughts, your perspective. And please know everything will be given due consideration as we develop the community's budget. With that, please enjoy the rest of this terrific Tuesday and make a wonderful rest of your week.